Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on a chocolate balloon. We've got longtime fools, Travis Hoyam and Dan Kaplinger, giving a 1 to 10 rating to Moneyball Rec, Stratasys, ticker symbol SSYS. Rate the strength of Stratasys' business first, including industry and competition. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Dan's at a 5. Travis, you're at a 4.
Yeah, Stratasys is really interesting. I mean, this is a company that I've actually used their products 20 years ago, back in my engineering days. And they do really amazing things with rapid prototyping. They have medical modeling. Rapid manufacturing is kind of their go-to products. That's where you can, if you're trying to make a new product and you go, hey, I only need 50 of these, I don't need 5,000, you go to a company like Stratasys. The challenge is this entire business has become a commodity, and that's not a good place to be. A ton of competition. And that's just kind of what we've learned over the last 10 years or so, is that it's really, really hard to make money in this business, and everybody's just fighting for the volume that there is. And even though it's matured a lot over the last decade, it doesn't mean that this is a profitable business with any sort of moat around it.
Yeah, I just need to double down on that concept, because you're looking at this and you might be thinking, well, additive manufacturing, it's actually succeeded in becoming an integral part for some companies of their production process, of their workflows in the manufacturing industry. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the companies that are engaged in facilitating that technology automatically become successful. And after years of trying, Stratasys just still has not been able to convert that interest into a sustained, successful business model.
And I don't think we've said the words 3D printing. That's what we're talking about here. I still own some shares from that boom for them and a competitor. Let's move on to management. A 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. 5's here, Travis.
Yeah, Yoav Zeif came in 2020, and not a whole lot has changed. It's really the reality here. I don't see a lot of improvement in their financials. I don't see a lot of innovation with the company. So I got to go just kind of middle of the road here. I don't have anything really terrible about what he's done with operations, but there's also nothing to be inspired by. That's why I'm just sticking with a 5.
I'd highly recommend Fool members go and look at Asit Sharma's recent interview of Zeif. That was back in December, I think. And you'll get a good sense of the executive, good technical knowledge, not necessarily the inspiring message that you can see in other tech CEOs. I think that kind of shows up in the stock's performance as well.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress. A 1 is yikes. Dan's at a 4. Travis, you're just at a 3.
Yeah, this is pretty yikes. 10-year compound annual growth rate is negative 2.7%. They're also losing money. You put those two things together, it's just not a lot to like there.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. In addition to negative earnings, in addition to stagnant to slightly downward trending revenue, free cash flow, often kind of the last thing to go, even there, break even to slightly negative. Yes, Stratasys does have a clean balance sheet. It gives some ability to consider future combinations, but past track record has not turned out well, and right now there's not a lot of signs to point towards anything on the horizon that's going to change that track record going forward.
My returns reflect all of this. Dan, let's talk valuation. How well will Stratasys is stocked over the next 5 years? How safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, so I went with 5-year average returns of between 0 and 5%. That's below even my conservative market outlook for the overall stock market. It's frustrating because a lot of fools have been following this industry for a long time, and you look at it and you just keep thinking, hey, this technology is valuable. People are using 3D printing. You want the companies that were the pioneers in that area to thrive. The sad fact, though, is Stratasys still has not figured out how to grow. And, it's been talking a good game. When you look at some of the earnings releases that the company was making early in 2025, they were starting to predict a turnaround. There were a couple of promising numbers, but really it just doesn't seem to be panning out. We're seeing some signs, positive earnings on an EBITDA basis, further adjusted So they can make the argument that they are profitable by some measure, but it's just not a very compelling argument at this time. And it doesn't point to a huge amount of safety for the business either.
Yeah, I think the real challenge is you can't set very high expectations, but if you're going to own this stock, it's got to be about the optionality. And, the bullish case would be that we've gone through this period of high competition. When I first started covering these stocks 10 or 15 years ago, there was a ton of new innovation, a ton of new companies coming in. Now you go through this consolidation phase. Yes, the financials don't look very good. Maybe if you squint, you can see some margin expansion in the future. Doesn't look like we're going to get a ton of revenue growth. So you do have a solid balance sheet, about $200 million worth of cash on the balance sheet. So I don't think this is going to be necessarily a negative performer, but I got to set really low expectations with 0 to 5% and a safety score of just 4.
Thank you to both Travis and to Dan. They've given Stratasys a low overall score of 4.1 out of 10. No top-its, but that's because Dan notes that the whole space has kind of gotten commoditized. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Cal-Maine Foods. Till then, Fool on. Fun fact, my parents have chickens.
The laws around here are funny because it's like any residential home can have like up to 6 chickens. So my buddy's got 6 chickens and like 4 goats.
He really does have them.
Yeah, he's like, right off the highway.